Hey friends, I'm Sean Pierce Johnson and welcome to a very different episode of Stompbox Saturday, because today we're not looking at a pedal, we're looking at a pedal board, specifically the Vangoa PDM pedal board with its own built-in pedal board power supply. Not long ago, I got an email from Kitty at Vangoa introducing the brand and this particular product to me. And when I saw this particular pedal board, they have several, but this one was the most intriguing. Before we get into talking about any specifications about this pedal board and putting together a pedal board and playing with it, I want to show you what comes in the package when you get one of these for yourself. All right, as you probably assume, the PDM from Vangoa is something you buy through Amazon, like a lot of these other Chinese vendors. So while I contend with Amazon's packaging, let me tell you a little bit about the specs of the PDM. So we have 12 power supply ports built into the PDM, 10 at 300 milliamps and 9 volts, and then there's a 12 volt and an 18 volt output. I don't know about you, but I don't have many 12 volt pedals, and the 18 volt pedals that I have are, well, they're just not as prominent as they used to be. So let's go ahead and open up the box that the pedal board actually comes in. And with the tape defeated, now I can show you the case or the bag that the PDM comes in. It's a really nifty backpack style gig bag. So if you're used to carrying your guitar around in a hard shell case, you could just throw this on your back and get to the gig, no problem. And it's a pretty nice bag. That front zipper pouch actually tapes up the majority of the front of the pedal board. It's a nice giant pocket for cables, patch cables, other accessories, and maybe charts if you need them. Now we can go ahead and open up the backpack and I can show you what comes with the pedal board. First off, it's really cool that Vangoa includes both the loop and hook side of Velcro for you to put on the pedal board and then on your pedals. I really like that a lot of pedal boards are coming with Velcro these days. Then we have a little one-sheet quick start guide giving you sample audio hookup diagrams. And then we have our power supplies. First, the wall wart that you'll plug into the wall and then into the PDM itself, and then all the power cables you'll need to connect your pedals to the PDM's built-in power supply. There's two different lengths. They're just a short and a long version, and I was a little worried that they were going to be too short, but they actually ended up being the perfect size. And then we have a multi-language, in-depth user's manual, but it's a pedal board. We don't need that. And then here is the PDM itself. But before I show you anything about it, let me talk a little bit about just the interior of the bag. What's nice is we have two big Velcro straps to help us keep the pedal board a little bit more stable and in place in transport. This is nice and handy. They're actually quite strong. And there's also another interior pocket on the lid of the bag. And now we have the PDM itself, with the power supply occupying the top row of the pedal board, and it's done up in that pedal train style. And then there's this row of LEDs on the top of the pedal board, which are hooked up to an internal microphone that basically gives you your own built-in light show. And I really dig the fact that to get a little angle out of the pedal board, you just have these little kickstand feet. This is a pretty cool little package. So now the most logical thing for us to do with the PDM is build a pedal board. And I want to put a mixture of things on here. Buffered bypass pedals, true bypass pedals, drives, compressors, modulations, digital pedals, analog pedals, you name it, all the things. Because I want to test out whether or not this built-in power supply is going to supply clean power to every single one. Sometimes when you mix and match pedals, even with an isolated power supply, there is some crosstalk. There's a little bit of spillover, and you'll start to notice some strange audio artifacts that are mostly related to the power supply. All right, the Vangoa pedal board is all set up. I really like the assortment of pedals I chose to put on here. kind of makes me feel like I get just about everything that I would need in order to get through really any gig, to be honest with you. And this is the clean tone that we start out with on the neck pickup on the main Les Paul. What's great is that even though we've turned off all the pedals, it is giving me an idea of what this pedal board is doing, and that's nothing. One of the things that you will often encounter with some of these lower priced power supplies, even though they might say they're isolated, you will get a little bit of a crosstalk between the power supply ports. Thankfully, I'm not hearing any extra noise, nor am I hearing any extra noise coming from the pedal board itself. I have had experiences in the past with other lower priced power supplies where you plug one pedal in, everything's fine, no problems there. But as soon as you start plugging in a second or a third, you start getting this really weird high-pitched whine. It's just barely audible, but once you hear it, you can't unhear it. And it's just, oh, it's getting in the way of a good time. Now I want to do this as sort of a test. I want to engage each pedal individually, engage whether or not the experience is similar to that of having these particular pedals plugged into a more expensive power supply. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the compadre. We'll compare the bypass tone with the pedal on tone and see if there seems to be any extra guck that is being added on, which I have a feeling that it's not going to be. With the compressor, no more noise than a compressor usually adds. Now for the boost. Doing pretty good. Now let's go to the 65. Session man now. This is actually lower in noise than another pedal power supply that I have. So that's quite impressive. Now to the top row, the tuner is gonna mute signal, so what's it gonna do? Let's start with the CE2. Not bad, not bad. These analog modulation pedals do add a little bit of noise to your signal, but it's no more than is normal. Now to the rubber neck. All right, we're doing pretty good. And now for the digital reverb. every single pedal sounds like it should individually. But of course, another thing that we need to take into account is stacking. So let me do a little bit of knob tweaking, and we'll come back and I'll start putting combinations of the pedals together. And there you have it, my friends. That is a look at the Vangoa PDM pedal board with its own built-in power supply and your own personal light show. I am far more impressed by this pedal board than I thought I was going to be when Vangoa reached out to me. Usually when Chinese pedal sellers, they contact me via email or on DMs and social about their products, I always tend to look at them with a bit of a sort of skeptical eye. The reason is because so many of these things, they look great on paper, but in practice, there's nothing to it. It's really just nothing more than words on a page, and the product doesn't live up. This, however, does. Now, there's really only one problem I have with the PDM, and it relates to the power supply. There's plenty of ports, which is fantastic, but at the same time, I just don't have many 18 volt and 12 volt pedals, so it would be really great if that 12 and 18 volt ports that are available on the power supply were actually voltage selectable. Because if you have something like the Walrus Audio ACS1, which is my amp sim that I usually use for direct and silent stage gigs, if I could power that off of this pedal board, this would be a fantastic grab and go options for those kind of gigs. So for a future version of this, I think it would be far better if Vangoa chose to forego the 12 and 18 volt options and instead just went full 9 volt. Most pedals available on the market these days that are cropping up pretty much every month now, they're pretty much all running 9 volts, as little as 100 milliamps and as many as, well, 500 milliamps. The big Strymon stuff, that's what they require. And then stuff like your fuzzes and overdrives, those don't use much more than 100 anyway. So if they did that, there'd be plenty of options for power to put any kind of pedal on this board. Thank you all for spending part of your day with me and watching this video. I hope you learned something and you enjoyed yourself. If you did, please do support the channel by clicking the subscribe button and ringing the notification bell. You can also give it a thumbs up and share a link to it with another friend of yours that plays guitar. If you want to go one step above and beyond that, become a member of my email club. Links to videos that I make on any kind of guitar topic are sent direct to your email inbox, and you're also entered into exclusive giveaways that are only open to email club members. There's a link in the description box down below, or you can go in your web browser to SeanPierceJohnson.com/email. Until we see each other again, my friends, I'm Sean Pierce Johnson, wishing you all watching great tone, great health, and of course, happy stomping. Cheers, friends. God bless.